rock all over the world. And now we're the hottest country anywhere in the world. We're number one everywhere, anywhere in the world. And that's all they're talking about is our country. 1 year ago, it was a dead country. Now it's the hottest country anywhere in the world.
No. I mean, I don't know exactly what he means by hottest country in the world. However, no. I listen to many very, very influential content creators all across multiple platforms, and this just isn't true. And I know I have more time to do this than the Trump administration does. Um, and I'm not even going to say it's good or bad one way or the other, because the purpose of this video is to put some thoughts out there that I have that are objectively, well, things that I'm seeing. I'm just going to put it out there. I get this sense of this feeling that Trump is stalling. He's trying to get some things done, and that he's using different tools to distract, using different tools to delay, so that he can push some things off and try to get things done in a particular order that he wants to get them done in. I also get the sense that there are people who know this and they're aware of this. And so they're going to try to drag everything out, drag all his efforts out, so that they can degrade his support in the United States among the MAGA people. And I think that Trump is probably thinking, if I can get it done quick enough, then I'll have a lot more time before the midterms to rebuild the credibility and to, to bring people back into the fold. Here's my message. That's a trick of the devil. I see this play out in people's lives all the time, all over. And so if he is stalling, I really think that he should stop. Now, I may not have all the information that's relevant, but I know who the father of lies is. Okay, and some of these are not outright lies. They're just rambling statements that obfuscate. But if there is one thing I know about Trump, he knows how to articulate himself very, very well. So if he's rambling on nonsensically like that, like, what is the hottest country? I don't even know. I mean, we're supposed to have a really hot summer. Okay, so the fact that we're all anyone is talking about doesn't necessarily mean that the talk is all good, and certainly it's not. And I don't even agree with some of the things that people are saying that are negative, but at the same time, it's still not good. And so you can't be like, that's all people are talking about. And so again, these kind of rambling statements that Trump makes, I actually think is an effort to not lie to the American people. I think that Trump trusts the MAGA base, as he should, the real ones. And so there is a worldview where Trump is separating the real from the fake. I think that there's a lot of people that we can put absolutely in the category of fake. They're not true MAGA. They just are the supporter of the Republican president. And I'm not even going to call any of those names because I don't know anybody's heart. But I think that if you're true MAGA, you're America first. You're non-interventionist. We can't use the same garbage intelligence that we've been using for as long as I can remember as support for military actions today. Because if we do that, that legitimizes all of the other military actions that Trump has been condemning, all of the interventions. And it may, like I said, I can see multiple different worldviews, but the only explanation that I can come up with for the stalling and the pretending and the faking, if there was a reason for us to bomb Iran, okay, maybe there was. But don't tell me that the reason to bomb Iran is the exact same reason we went into Iraq, okay? Even less evidence, less lies, absolutely. So this just doesn't work. I believe that there is a worldwide coalition of globalists who are trying to destroy the America First movement. There's always some value in letting that type of destructive person think that they're winning. But you have to weigh that against the actual harm and damage that's done. And I believe that this has already gone on long enough. for anyone who is a Christian, you are going to struggle living under the weight and the burden of lies, especially some of the types of lies that are starting to come out from Trump's peripheral, from his administration, like the DOJ. I'm not surprised to hear that some people are pushing back. And in my fantasy world, and I don't want to pretend like this is based on anything other than what I would hope, is that you push all the way to the limit to see who's willing to go along with this, the old way of doing things, and who is not willing to go along with it. Now, I expect the people in the Trump administration to be loyal to Trump and what he's doing or resign. So maybe he's having these inside conversations, because some of the body language, my God, I'm not a body language expert, but I am human and I do study nonverbal communications. The nonverbal communications coming out of most of the administration, particularly the non-lawyers, okay? So pay attention to who the people are in the administration that are non-lawyers. But in either case, the body language coming out is very heavy, okay? They're not happy. And if this is what I would do in a similar situation, those people that come to me and say, Mr. President, I cannot go along with this. This is against X, it's against Y. You give your policy decisions and whatever your disagreements are. And you say, I joined your administration because I wanted to be able to be a part of X, Y, and Z. And, I have to speak up. I'm going to support you. I'm going to do the right thing. If I feel like I can't, I will definitely step down. Then Trump will have the opportunity to tell them privately, this is what I was looking for. So just hang tight while I figure out who's real and who's not real, who's not about the America First movement and who really is. And just hang tight. And the people that are not saying anything in the face of that and just simply not doing anything deceitful or deceptive, nothing to feed the old demonic beast of how things used to be done, even if they're not saying anything, those are the people that need to stay. The people who are doing otherwise, they all need to go, every single one of them, because we can no longer have people whose only goal is to just be one of the insiders. I think that there's a lot of people who we disagree with. Nobody will ever be able to call MAGA a cult again, ever. Trump's poll numbers are actually tanking. And I think he's running out of time to flip this and turn it around. We're talking, I would say, a few more months. I don't know when the first primaries are, but a big part of the 2026 midterms, considering we haven't cleaned up 2020, 2022 yet, and we still have all of these systemic problems in our elections, a lot of the elections, if you look at what happened in New York City, is going to be determined by the primaries. Okay? And if we get weakened to the point where MAGA Republicans, real MAGA Republicans, can't win primaries, I'm less concerned about being outvoted or about losing elections than a disaffected, detached, dejected MAGA base. Because I'm still having all kinds of problems with the Iranian thing. I'm still having all kinds of problems with the Epstein thing. There's a couple of other things. The immigration deportation operation is going okay. I think that the big story, as I made a video about in the past, is going to be whether or not this obvious deportation operation, which is also a psyop. Every time I hear Democrats fear-mongering their base about the immigration issue, I say, we're actually making them do the job for us. They're scaring their people into leaving, because most people are not content to sit for an indefinite period of time just waiting to be deported. I don't believe that that's the normal course. So if we can get, apparently 1 million plus left in just 6 months, that's a pretty huge number. If we get 2 million, depending on whether or not we are able to successfully make it harder, if we got 1 million in 6 months, and I don't even know that number includes the people who may be self-deported before Trump took office or even before he won, if they thought he was going to win, because I do believe that that was happening. And I'm going to make a separate video about why I think that was happening, because I do live in Southern California. That I do believe that that was already starting to happen. People were just not taking the chance of having their life blown up one way or the other. It's hard to know what those numbers are, but I've also seen videos of people online that are making videos from wherever they are now, explaining that they self-deported in 2024. And now they're back in their home country and they're talking about what life is like. And a lot of them, by the way, are doing really great. Being deported, it's not a punishment. It's an inconvenience, but it's not a punishment. It's not as if people cannot survive in their home countries. Some of them were millions, tens of millions of people are already living. And so what they're basically doing is they're terrorizing their own, what they are considering their constituency. And I think that that's actually going to work in our favor. So I think that as, we get the extra internal enforcement going, that even more people will leave voluntarily. And so we could end up having millions a year leave voluntarily. And the more that leave voluntarily, the easier it will be to find the rest. And so, that's probably the thing that's going the best. And I actually do think that's the most important, because I think that that will impact the ability to cheat elections. It'll affect, obviously, by the time we do the next census, I'll be 60. And so I don't know, I want the world to be better for my future grandchildren. If I am fortunate enough to have any, I want the world to be better for them. And I'm willing to sacrifice in order to make that happen. And I saw a video recently with, it was Tim Bowling. I think he used to be with Fox. Eric Bowling, who used to be at Fox. And I forget this woman's name, and the other one was Mark Halperin. And this woman, I think her name is Katya, but I could be wrong. I'm going to try to play the video for you in closing. She is right on the money when she talks about the immigration issue and where the actual American people fall on this issue. I actually think the survey numbers, which show a majority of Americans want this to happen, that it's even higher than that. And so they were not getting it. They don't get it. They don't realize. And I can't speak to why. I think that some people are still Democrats are not the only ones that can be in a bubble. Republican elites can be in a bubble too. And I believe that that's what's going on with Eric and Mark. They are in a Republican bubble where they don't talk to enough people outside of that bubble to understand that the number of Americans who are supporting the deportations are far bigger than those who want different pockets of amnesty for their own interests. They don't understand that this is something Americans are willing to sacrifice for. Same as the tariffs. Americans are willing to sacrifice for it. So we need people out there that can give the whole story. So I hope that Trump is trying to separate true MAGA from conservative Inc., if you want to call it that, true America first, because he needs to see who will adhere to the principles of America first, not just who's trying to adhere to him, because he may not be there. I'm starting to question whether or not Trump is actually interested in finishing his first term. And I'm going to make a whole separate video on the pros and cons of that and why I think he may not intend to finish his first term. Because if he feels like one of the biggest problems that Trump has had since his first term is that the insiders that he was relying on to help with policy implementation and things of that nature are ineffective, if not traitorous. So I'm going to end this video just by saying that I hope that that's what's going on. I don't know that that's what's going on, but I do hope that that's what's going on. That he doesn't want to do anything to trigger the real dirty, bad, evil actors out there to do more things like what we just saw in Texas. And I don't even know what we just saw in Texas, because hearing these people openly talk about the rain thing is just crazy to me right now. So trying to balance that out and get some of these people under control. I think there is some value in arresting certain types of people all at the same time. I would love to see that. I have no information that it's coming, and I will believe it only when I see it. But that's kind of where I am right now. And this video goes along with the video that I made previously about Trump's pattern. And if I look at Trump's pattern, and I'm not saying he's still following the same pattern, certainly people can change, but I don't see the signs of a change in pattern yet. So I don't see it. Usually when a pattern changes, you can see it. If you look really closely, examine it really closely, whether it's a quilt or anything else, breadcrumbs on the ground, if there's a pattern, when that pattern is disrupted, it's usually very obvious if you know what metrics to look at. I don't see any metrics that suggest that Trump's pattern has changed. And if his pattern has not changed, then what we're looking at here is just simply not what's really going on. So that's it. And I will see you guys on the next video. Please like, subscribe, share, and comment. See you soon.